Welcome everybody to the next video. Imagine you are running a production application. Traffic suddenly increases. Your CPU goes high. So Kubernetes does what you taught it to do. HPA says, we need more pods, let's scale out. At the same time, VPA looks at those same pods and says, these pods are too small, let me make them bigger. Both controllers are trying to help. Both are doing what exactly they are designed to do. But here's the interesting question. What happens when the two autoscalers try to fix the same problem at the same time? Can they work together? Or do they end up confusing each other? Today, we will build this in a real cluster. We will watch it happen with our own eyes. Then we will look at the simple fixes that production teams actually use. So before we start, if you have been following this Kubernetes series, you know we don't just copy YAML files. We break down what Kubernetes is actually doing behind the scenes. Pods, services, networking, storage, HPA and now VPA. The goal is just to build a real mental model that helps for the CK exam, and it helps even more in real production work. If you are learning step by step with me, hit subscribe. More lessons like this are coming. Now let's understand why HPA and VPA can clash. But before we build the problem, let's quickly recap what each autoscaler does. HPA answers one single question. How many copies of the app should I run? One pod, CPU goes up, 5 pods. HPA changes the number of pods. VPA answers a different question. How much CPU and memory should each pod get? Small pod, VPA recommendation, bigger pod. VPA changes the size of each pod. On their own, both are helpful. The problem starts when both of them are looking at the same number, let's say CPU usage. Let's understand the conflict with the help of an example. Think of a restaurant. HPA is the manager who adds more tables when customers are waiting. He says, add more tables. That's horizontal scaling, more copies. VPA is the manager on the other side who makes tables bigger. When tables feel crowded, he says, make each table bigger. That's vertical scaling. Now picture both managers working at the same time. The first manager says, the tables are too crowded, let's add more tables. And then at the same time, the second manager goes, actually, the tables are too small, let's make them bigger. And after the tables gets bigger, the first manager looks again and says, wait, these tables aren't crowded anymore. Maybe we have too many tables now. So he removes some of the tables again. But the customers didn't leave. They just got squeezed into fewer, bigger tables, which gets crowded again. And the cycle starts over. That's the trick. It doesn't look like a fight in the moment. It looks like things calm down. The real conflict shows up a little later. Let's stop talking now and build it. We will start with Kubernetes' own official examples on kubernetes.io. We will copy them and change a few small things to fit our lab. Every time we change something, we will point it out and say why. Here's the plan. First, we will deploy a CPU-heavy app. Second, we will turn on HPA and watch it add pods. Number 3, we will turn on VPA and watch it resize those pods. Number 4, watch what HPA does after the resize for a few minutes, not just few seconds. And then number 5, talk about the simple ways to avoid this problem in production. Here's the official deployment example from Kubernetes HPA docs. And here's what we have changed and why. We renamed everything from PHP Apache to CPU demo, so it's clearly our vision. We added replicas, 1, to be clear about the starting point. We lowered the starting CPU request from 200M to 100M. A smaller starting request means it takes less traffic to go over the target, so HPA reacts faster. Here's our version of the deployment. Let's apply it, and let's check the pods running. Now, let's take a look at the official HPA example. We copied this one as is, but only changed 2 things, the name and the target deployment. So it points to our CPU demo app instead of PHP Apache. Then we added one more thing, a behavior section here. This lets us control how fast HPA scales up and scales down. Here's why we added it. By default, HPA waits 300 seconds, that is 5 whole minutes, before it scales down after a spike. That's a good rule for production. It stops HPA from overreacting to small dips in traffic, but for our lab, that means sitting around for 5 minutes doing nothing, just waiting to see a scale down happen. So we are setting that wait time to just 30 seconds instead of 300 seconds. Just for this lab. This way, you get to see the ups and downs, the fluctuations happen quickly in a few minutes instead of hours. You will see the conflict with your own eyes live instead of just hearing about it. Here's CPU demo HPA YAML. One quick warning for anyone copying this. Don't use 30 seconds in real production cluster. We are only using it here so the lab is quickly to film and quick to watch. In real life, that 5-minute default exists for a good reason. It stops pod from flapping up and down too fast. Let's apply this YAML. And let's check the HPA. Great. Now, let's send some real traffic to the app and watch HPA react to it. As traffic increases, CPU starts climbing. Every time usage goes above 50% target, HPA adds more pods. Here's what we saw in our test. Watch the replica count grow. Replicas went from 1 to 3 to 5 to 7 to 9 and to 10. HPA keeps adding the pods until either usage drops back under the target or it hits our ceiling, which is maximum replicas, 10. In our test, it has hit the ceiling of 10 replicas. Now let's bring in the second controller. HPA adds more pods, VPA makes each pod bigger. Let's look at the official VPA example. We will copy the same VPA but change these small things for our lab. The name of the VPA is CPU Demo VPA. The target deployment to point to our CPU demo app instead of my app. And the maximum CPU setting lowered from 2 cores down to 400M. Our test app is tiny, so we don't need a huge ceiling. The control resources just set to CPU. We only want VPA changing CPU for this lab, so we can clearly see what CPU alone does. Here's our version in the recommendations only mode first, that is, update mode set to off. So we can see what VPA is suggesting before it changes anything in the pods. Let's apply it and then wait for a few minutes to check for the VPA recommendations. kubectl describe VPA, CPU demo VPA. Let's check for the target here. Look at the 3 values, lower bound, target, and upper bound. Target is 126 M CPU and 250 megabytes of memory. So VPA is recommending pods for this traffic should have at least 126 M CPU. But the update mode is set to off right now, so it will not change or update the pods. Let's set up the conflict and let's watch it happen. How? By changing the update mode to recreate. Let's do it. Let's apply the new VPA YAML and watch for the pods. Watch closely. You will see pods disappear and new ones appear. This is VPA at work. It can't just change a running pod size. So instead, it evicts the old pods and creates the new ones with a bigger CPU request, one at a time. Look, there's a pod terminating. And here's a new one starting with the new, bigger CPU request. Let's check the effect of VPA on the pod resource request. You can check the resource request of all pods with one single command or inspect them individually, one pod at a time. For the sake of this video and to keep things simple, I'm gonna check all pods at once. Notice something interesting here? The pods with the updated CPU request are the ones that were recreated by VPA. And the pods still showing 100 M CPU have not yet been updated. Let's wait a few minutes and watch what happens. You should start seeing these pods getting terminated and recreated by VPA. And remember, VPA updates the pods belonging to the deployment it is targeting, not any other pod randomly. I will leave this command in the description below. you don't need to memorize it for the CK exam. Look, all pods now have a CPU of 126M. Remember, we initially started our pods with 100M CPU? So all these pods have been updated by the VPA. Now let's verify this on one individual pod so you can actually see where the change was made. kubectl describe pod followed by the pod name. The values over here. Look, the CPU and memory requests for this particular pod have been changed to 126M CPU and 250 megabytes of memory. Let's scroll up a little and just under annotations, you will see VPA updates. Pod resources updated by CPU demo VPA, which is the name of our VPA. See, that confirms VPA modified the CPU request of this pod, and it has done the same thing with all the pods that were managed by the CPU demo deployment. And watch the HPA in the meantime. Watch the utilization number. It drops not to 0, but down close to our 50% target. At the same time, keep an eye on the replica count. This is the important part. As utilization drops and climbs, watch the replica number go up and down with it. It might look calm for a second. It isn't. Let's keep watching. Here's what we saw over the next several minutes. Watch the replica count and the utilization percentage together. Look at that. The replica count keeps sliding between 8 and 10. It never settles. It just keeps going up, down, for minutes at a time. Now, let's say this. Why is this happening? The real amount of traffic hitting our app didn't change. It stayed the same the whole time. What changed is the request number, because VPA increased it. And that new request landed the utilization almost exactly on our 50% target. Not clearly above it, not clearly below it, right on the line. When a number sits right on the line, small changes tips it back and forth. One moment it's at 30%, so HPA removes some pods. The next moment it is at 60%, so HPA adds a few back. That's the conflict. It's not that HPA or VPA are broken. They both are doing the job correctly. The problem is VPA keeps changing a number that HPA depends on, and HPA keeps reacting to the changes that have nothing to do with the real user traffic. You can also see this in the HPA's event logs. kubectl describe HPA followed by the HPA's name. Let's take a look under its events. See it flip back and forth between two reasons over and over. Reason number 1, all metrics are below target. Reason number 2, CPU resources utilization above target. That's the smoking gun. That's the conflict in black and white right in front of you. So, what does this mean? Should you never use HPA and VPA together? Absolutely not. But you need one simple rule. Don't let one controller change a number that other controller depends on. Here are two simple ways to avoid this in production. Number 1, HPA watches for the CPU of an app and VPA only touches the memory of that same app. That way, HPA scales pods based on CPU and VPA only changes the memory. The CPU request never moves under HPA's feet. No conflict. Number 2, VPA only recommends, it doesn't act. Which means always set update mode to off. That way, VPA just watches and suggests numbers. A real person reviews those numbers and applies those changes by hand, usually outside of a busy scaling event. HPA keeps working off a request number that isn't secretly changing. That's a very common setup in real companies, in real world. And real companies always avoid both autoscalers watching and changing the same thing, as we did in our lab. This is the exact setup that caused our replica counts to bounce between 8 and 10 for several minutes in the lab. So simple rules to remember: use HPA when your app needs more copies to handle more traffic, and use VPA to right size how much CPU and memory each pod gets. Only combine them when they are clearly not stepping on each other. HPA on CPU and VPA on the other side on memory, or HPA on a custom metrics and VPA on a resource. So, the lesson today isn't never use HPA and VPA together. It's also not VPA fixed everything and pods got happy. But what we actually saw was this. HPA scaled up for a good reason, VPA resized the pods for a good reason. But that resize landed the utilization number almost exactly on 50% target. Not clearly above it, not clearly below it. And that's why HPA kept flip-flopping for several minutes instead of settling down. HPA changes how many pods you have, and VPA changes how big each pod is. When you turn both on at once, make sure one isn't quietly changing a number that the other one depends on. And just like that, we are at the end of this video. If this video helped you understand a Kubernetes behavior that isn't obvious at first, hit subscribe. In the next video, we are going to look into rolling updates and rollbacks. We will look at how Kubernetes updates your app without any downtime, what happens when a new version breaks, and how Kubernetes can automatically roll you back to the last working version. This is where Kubernetes stops being just containers and starts being real production platform. See you in the next lesson.